Whose side is Future Sid on? We got a love triangle and Delusion. After these messages, we'll be right back.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Absolutely, like I'm gonna jam to this later. It's a good song.
How did you find it?
I actually put my phone on and
Shazam?
did like Google. No, Google, and then you
okay.
say it's a song, and it picks it up. Mi mujer.
Yeah, guys, if you don't know this song, it's in Legion, and it's a Spanish song, I believe, and Kari was genius enough to find it for our opening.
Yeah. So I'm glad because I was like, this show has thank you, it has such good music. Fun
Hey
stuff.
guys, welcome back. I'm Rick Hong. You are watching the Legion After Show here at AfterBuzz, and I'm trying to figure out if we want to talk Yanni or Laurel.
No,
but...
stop. No.
Okay,
no,
I'm joined by my panelists, Ashley Brinkman.
Hey guys, it's Laurel, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay. And then Kari Lane.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, guys. I'm totally kidding. We are talking Legion. There's a lot to talk about. And ladies, thoughts on the episode?
Someone in the chat made a good point that it's not necessarily progressing the series, but I still really liked it, even though like technically there's no plot, not huge plot advancement, but we do take care of an issue that had been
lingering,
growing, if you will,
Patami or
incubating,
Patami's mind.
yeah,
poor guy.
And body.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, how about you? Thoughts?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I didn't think it progressed us too much, just like Kari just said, but I feel like that's kind of been the theme for the past couple of
Man, I'm getting ganged up on here because I thought that it did.
That's fine.
No. It's interesting because in season 1, I tell people this all the time. You have to get through about 6 episodes, and then in episode 7, just like this one, they start putting the pieces together.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
The pieces were put together. Yeah.
And I felt
Yeah.
like this one, they put the pieces together again to move the story forward.
It just didn't feel like that. Like it wasn't quite as obvious. It was more subtle. It was pieces coming together rather than like taking leaps forward. Which was still helpful though, because there was a lot of things that were just like, dude, this needs to be taken care of, and finally like, we got it.
It did answer questions though.
Yeah,
Like
that's exactly
oil-
it. Totally answered. So I mean,
Yeah.
the questions that we were like. So I mean, this is interesting because we start off, and I remember the other time it was this is I had to like go back, read the caption, ostensibly on Legion, which is a synonym for apparently.
Oh,
On
sure.
Legion. So like they're actually using a different word now.
Yeah.
And so then like, but this is interesting because normally they sit there and say like this is episode 7, chapter 15. And like usually like that's what John Hamm will open up with. But instead we get this like weird collage thing where it says part 8, moral panic. And then, it's like public anxiety or alarm in response to a perceived threat to the moral standards of society is the definition of what moral panic is.
And I agree with the thing of what's worse, fear or the frightened. I'm like, I'm going to go with the frightened. Come on, mob mentality. You got to run from that.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Xavier in the chat agrees with you that the story did move, but sees what I was talking about, how it wasn't like as obvious. Like it wasn't as smaller scale, I'd go with. They didn't say that, but that's what I'm like, it's more like.
It definitely sets up a lot though.
Yeah.
Because, we got rid of, or jumping ahead too much. But it sets up future episodes because it answered so many questions.
Right. Whereas
which is
before
nice.
we were kind of.
So I guess it is progressing and.
Well, there you go. I like this one. Seb in the chat says, I feel like this, sorry, I'll get back to your quote, but we do have a live chat if you're watching this on YouTube, so feel free to join us in that. If you're watching it later, no problem, comment down below. So Seb Russ in the chat says, I feel this episode cleaned up everything, allowing us to move on. No loose threads are left and we can push on. That's a good way to explain it. It's
Yeah,
more like
and
we
again, we're gonna
get those end tied up.
Yeah, and we're getting into it right now. I mean, like we saw an old friend, the devil with the yellow eyes in the beginning. Some little references to him. I was like, I missed him, but like we didn't get to hear his like creepy voice.
Good. I'm glad. He's too creepy.
Kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but this is a thing to think about, which I'm like, I don't know if we necessarily have an answer on that. Broke Black Man 94 says, and the
Good
chat, I know, I'm
name.
like,
Good name,
fun
good
name
name,
there.
good name.
They answered the question: is Future Sid really Future Sid, or something that is created from the Shadow King?
I will get into that. We'll get into
Yeah,
get into
that's
that
a good one
when
to
we definitely
put a pin
great
in
question and definitely good debate that we're gonna
Yeah.
discussion that we're gonna have. But like first off,
Yes.
we open up to Farouk, and did you ladies kind of know what he was trying to put together
His car?
initially? I mean,
No.
like the mechanism, like I mean.
Well, we were watching it together, and I kind of was like, I wonder what it's going on in the normal real world, like while this is happening. You know, like I know he's not in a body, but like, what's the outside of this space look like?
Like,
You
where
know,
is
let-
Farouk
let's-
in
let's-
this space? Within what space?
Yeah.
To me, it was like he's in his astral plane.
Yeah.
He's in his astral plane, but instead of having the background be all the stuff, it's just
white.
it's just plain
Almost
white
like
because he's
Oliver's
working on his
icebox.
DeLorean, or at least apparently I was like yeah, his DeLorean. Like the really cool things about this season they seem to be harping on, especially with colors, is
That pink.
yeah, exactly, Carrie. We didn't. I mean, Carrie and I were supposed to go to the red carpet for this thing, and the greatest thing was that David, Dan Stevens wore that color suit,
Oh, yeah.
and so every time I see that color, I'm always angry that we didn't get to go to carpet number one, and then I'm always like, he came pimp, and like that's kind of the theme of the show this season. But like the purple, fuchsia, hot pink gook.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of David's pod thing that he goes into to
The chamber,
travel,
yeah,
the
which
chamber.
we find out, right? It's like he's building his own. He's building his own version of that without a male Carrie to guide him along, because he's Farouk and he's all the Shadow King and all that jazz. But then I mean, go ahead.
Did we think I kind of agree too. Seb Ross says, I didn't love the devil with the yellow eyes. He looked less scary in the light. And that though the comic book covers were amazing though. Well, I actually thought it was weird, like his arms, I know his arms were skinny before, but it made it almost look like he's just wearing like a headpiece. It looked less like it was a whole body rather than like somebody like with little arms wearing a head mask.
Yeah, I thought so too. It took away a little bit from his scariness and
Seeing it well lit.
yeah, but that's also
Wait,
what
he
happens.
looked what, more like Grimace?
Uh,
Grimace from McDonald's.
He just looked like, I don't know, he
little
wasn't
bit,
as scary.
yeah.
More of a costume than a creature. Like before, you
Sure.
believe he's the thing.
Sure.
Like he's some other being. But in this, you're just like, oh,
It's
that's...
because the kids
But
are
I feel like
surrounding
kind
it,
of-
so they couldn't make
kind
it look as cool.
of
The
ties
effect.
into the whole delusion thing. It's like when you are scared of something and you turn the
Ah.
lights on and there's nothing really there. It's like you made that up in your head and you are the frightened because you're starting to act out of fear. So I feel like it kind of ties into the message quite nicely.
Yeah, and then I mean, yeah.
interesting.
So then, obviously, like what's great from like the last episode or like the last couple episodes to this one is finally we've got David calling out Farouk. You know, calling him out, and
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
he's like-
and he's like he's shit beetle, and he's got that's a good. I've never heard
Yeah.
that word before, so that was a good that was a good one. And like yeah, now like the two of them are like at this like dinner table having a discussion about how he's killed Amy.
Farouk always has like a one up. He's so confident because he says something very condescending to David at the very beginning. He's like, use your words, because David's growling at him like a lion, which is kind of something I really like about Farouk. He's always like very cocky and sure of himself.
It's a good foil to David, though, because David kind of is cocky. He's not sure of himself. He's cocky where he thinks he is. And he's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And Farouk's like, no. Let me put you're back at the kiddie table.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, I mean, right, exactly. And like, use your words is kind of like an adult talking to a little
Yeah.
kid. So it's
He's
like,
like,
it's condescending. But I mean, what we find out though too is that Farouk kind of like tells him like, well, hey, you wanted these things.
Yeah.
You wanted, you know, your sister to die. You were pissed off at her. So I kind of obliged.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Careful what you wish for. And he's like, remove your mask. He's like, gods make rules. Which obviously, like, right, David he's not too happy with that. And he's just like, I'm gonna burn your body. I'm gonna burn your body, and then he gets sent to the kiddie table. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you ladies have any more thoughts on Farouk and David sitting down and talking with each other, but I wanted to move on to David and Sid. David with present, I guess, David with present Sid.
Okay. Which is this when they're in bed and they're talking about like, yeah. Okay, I've watched too much Doctor Who that I'm like, but it is you. Unless it's something else. But if we're assuming it is Sid of the future, it's the same person. So it's not cheating if he's with her.
And,
I have to disagree. I don't know. They are obvious. They're different people. They've changed. They've gone through things, and they're two people from different times living in the same time.
Let's say if they got married in the past.
Now, because you guys gotta remember that Kari just read the book, The Time Traveler's Wife, so she has a bunch of crazy conspiracy theories about like present people, future people, past people of the same person.
Well, if you're connected to them, doesn't matter where you are in their timeline. If they are always your person, it doesn't matter if you're now or then. It's the same person that you'll be with. But I get what you mean too. Well, in the times where he can talk to future Sid, he can touch her, which is a big difference in comparison to present Sid. So that is kind of one of those where it's not exactly equal footing.
I kind of like that they explored and had that conversation between the two of them because we don't really know behind the scenes how much he's cluing in. Because you always have the curiosity of like if we. It's just like in Back to the Future. What happens, Doc? Do we become like, jerks or something in the future? Like you're always curious about your future self. What and like David hasn't really been too forthcoming. Like, oh, hey, by the way, you don't have an arm.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what happened to my arm? What's going on?
We've had a few people suggest though that future Sid is not really future Sid. So I was gonna say, are we at that point or is it
too soon?
Too soon? It blends in a hair, but
you know what? Let's if that's what the people want, and you ladies want to talk about it, we can.
I
do
think
it
bleeds in.
Actually, you know what? Yeah. But before we do that, I think our fearless leader would have some idea of the future self.
Yes.
Yeah, some advice of the future self, the past self, the present self. Ashley Brinkman.
I think I can tell you that.
You can clear it up.
Let's start off with a little question. Want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of your life? For those of you who do, we've got the podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition, is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrities and influencer interviews, along with secret tips on how to be better in all aspects of your life. From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted, and we know you want that older sister. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us who sent you there, the Legion After Show. Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. Check it out.
Okay, I did think of I do agree with this one though in the chat. Broke Black Man 94 says, I can see why. I know it's
great name. It's a hilarious name. I love it. I love it in terms of all the different name handles that are out there. I mean, that's a good one.
I can see why Sid is jealous because he is more open to future Sid than current. If they're the same person, why she didn't open up to her? So I think it's kind of saying like if they are the same person, he's talking with and being more open with future Sid than present one, and then that would be a cause of jealousy. Like, well, if you're talking with and giving of yourself to this future one, why aren't you doing that with me now? Which that I could get that as a jealousy.
But she like, I mean, present Sid, as we saw in this episode, did ask him when they were like, in different beds. It's like, do you want to talk about it? Because he's mumbling to himself about what he wants to do to Farouk, and she's like, do you want to talk about it? Which is like talking about Lenny.
Amy.
Which he should have talked about it.
Lammy coming on some end. But okay, yes, and then David goes to a chamber. He goes, he's with future Sid, and he's upset with future Sid because future Sid knew what happened to Amy, and theoretically it's one of those things. It's like, you could have helped me. I mean, he didn't say this, but it's that whole, you could have helped me prevent this from happening, but instead you didn't, so now I'm pissed off.
Needed him focused.
Yeah, she's like, so I'm sorry, and you needed to stay focused.
Yeah.
But she still seduces him. He's definitely got a thing for future Sid. That's why I feel like they're two different people.
I think because they can touch each other, which is a big difference. Like, he can make out with her. And for reals, not just his head.
Well, I mean, it was
It
the
helps.
one time though.
Well, I mean, it's also that
It
it's also there's that other aspect, right? Of he's already been with present
It's
Sid.
new.
He's already
yeah.
been with present Sid. So future Sid is, there's something about
Mysterious and intriguing.
Yeah, and I mean, or even probably just even same thing. It's like the curiosity of, do we still have the same electricity?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's my mentality. I mean, that's what I think.
No, it makes sense. That's a good way to think of it because it's one of those like it somehow is way more complicated than you think it should be because you're like, well, it's you, but the future. I do think it is her. I don't think it's a Shadow King puppet. The way he talked with her, he might be using future Sid. That's one thing. I don't think she as an entity is something he made.
And I agree with you on that one too. I mean, like, but David comes in there and he's just like, "You're not my Sid," meaning that not that she's Farouk, but just more that the Sid, maybe the Sid that he currently knows would be more forthcoming, or would maybe have given him the heads up of like, your sister is gonna die, whereas this one has kind of kept it from him, and he's upset and he's angry, so that's kind of like why he says, "You're not my Sid," at least in my opinion.
I agree with you totally. Yeah.
Oh,
I think this present Sid would, I mean, she's almost given her life so many times to save David, and she didn't know what the outcome would be. But future Sid's just like, nah, you're just gonna play my game.
I mean, she does a little bit of that, like that passive aggressive
very
reverse
passive-aggressive.
psychology of like, well, then just go. We can just let
This was too much for you.
Yeah, just I
It's
mean,
okay.
it's like what?
You're like, oh.
It's like,
see
what?
right through you.
I'm just like, it's like, what, you're Pandora, you're opening up that box, and now you're just like, oh, you know what? Never mind. No, just take it away. It's BS. It's BS.
That's why they're different Sids. But it's just so hard.
It's definitely a different personality, but essentially, technically, it's the same person. But who they are is different later. So that's where you are. Like,
And I mean, is it also because that future Sid has, and we're about to get there in a second here, but like future Sid she's older, so she's older. Maybe she's gained more wisdom about her relationship with David and the world, and
being comfortable with her own self.
Yeah, and also, I don't want to say that she's the word isn't. I'm not thinking the right word. The word isn't damaged, but just
jaded from her experiences and all the things we come out to find out between her conversation with Farouk and
which we can, I mean, like, yeah, which like let's explore, let's obviously like go there now and go into Farouk and future Sid, which we find out that Farouk has been making his own Shadow King DeLorean chamber to go, and she's kind of surprised. She's like, wait, how did you get here? And he's like, I'm here.
You thought David's the only one? Okay, well, good point. Thank you, chat. A lot of people are pointing out, well, technically it's a mental space where he's meeting her. It's not literally there. But I don't know, maybe the way she touches him is more comfortable, which, again, older Sid might be more okay with herself and being intimate with him compared to present Sid that is more timid, So it just felt, it was more like she's ready to, I don't know, it was like, I like the visual of it because she seemed more like, I'm establishing a connection with you, touch.
She needs something from him.
Yeah, she does.
What do you mean with David?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it also maybe because she knows like the outcome, so it's like maybe this is our last time to.
Well, that's why she's like, do I get a goodbye?
Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
like this is like it's like in the Terminator where you got like Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. He's like, he knows, he's like, I'm gonna die, so like, and this is my time to hook up. I'm gonna hook up.
Well, it's horror movies. They're gonna die. It's time to have sex. Yeah.
Right.
Also,
there was like a weird bed thing in the background, so.
Yeah,
the black bed
that changed from the
Well,
chair.
they have the chair too. I mean,
chair's useful.
But present Sid and David haven't been to their little astral plane.
They have not been there in a while.
Yeah, so I feel like things are just a little rocky with them. But I think that'll get tied up pretty soon, and that'll get figured out.
So I mean, let's get into the conversation with like Farouk and future Sid, and like kind of their conversation, and this is where we get one of our first big reveals for, and I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I had a feeling that, I don't know about you ladies, but I had a feeling that's kind of where it was going in terms of like saying that
David is the destruction. We said that. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
we
yeah.
talked about that before that we picked.
but
who
at
he
least
was.
now it's being it's actually like
Confirmed, yeah.
it's confirmed, right? I don't think it was like too mysterious that, but the problem with that now too is it's trying to understand future Syd's loyalties and motivation.
Because he makes a point. He's like, I know why I'm doing this, but why are you doing it? Which us as the audience are like, yeah, so why are you doing this, Sid?
And she's still staying consistent where she's keeping things from David. I mean, the death of his sister, and like, hey, you are the destruction.
Well, if you're from the future, though, how much can you really tell the past? Because how much does that alter the future?
That too.
Yeah.
There's that whole science. Yeah, the
Like,
science,
how
and
much
I
can
mean,
you
and
really
that'll
do?
probably reveal itself in terms of, or maybe she's trying to change things. But I mean, yeah, like clearly, there's a lot of things that Farouk says a lot of stuff here. He's like, you know, she's just like, she says maybe we're all villains, and meanwhile he's like saying, he's like, oh, suddenly like I was the villain, now I'm the hero. The hero is the villain, you know, and then he almost pulls that whole like Darth Vader thing on her, and it's like, well, if David and I can't join forces, then you and I can rule the galaxy forever. They kind of have like that weird conversation.
Yeah. No, a couple people are curious on like what her motives are, and I agree. Of like, but it's like, if she knows David is going to be bad, why doesn't she say like, so by the way, David, you're gonna be crazy.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is.
Which she kind of does. She's like, well, live well, make smart decisions. Passive aggressive again. It's like, sweetie, just be honest and tell him everything.
Yeah, this future Sid is definitely, with her one arm, she's definitely has some cards behind. She's holding some behind her back that she's not revealing, and hopefully, yeah, I guess by the time we get to episode 11, that'll all play out, or leave us on a big cliffhanger. I'm not sure yet, and that's farther down the road.
Interesting that David never accepts the fact that when people say he's like the all powerful, like he has so much powerful, he's a god, and so he never really claims that, or you know, like owns up to that. But it sounds like maybe at some point he will, and that will be too much for him or get to his head, and you know, he'll kind of be this awful force in the future that maybe she's trying to like not get him to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe having just like tearing him down and needing Amy to be out of the picture is just ways to not get there.
She said like, yeah, stay focused. I mean, like, but what do do you ladies have an opinion about this possible alliance between Farouk and future Sid?
Well, if that's the only way to stop David, and we were talking about that too, of like, well, stop meaning kill him or just stop him, because those are big differences.
Sure.
To stop him could mean to kill him, and I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I agree, like, why not try to solve the problem before it gets that big? It's like, let's take baby steps.
Maybe there's just something you just like can't, you can't change, and it's inevitable.
Maybe.
So you have to team up with the enemy to control it.
And there's it's that whole telling that saying of the end of my enemy is my friend, or even though David's not really her enemy, but still.
Yeah.
And we don't know how. I mean, we also don't know like how much future Sid, how wise she really is, or how much she really, really, really knows yet either.
Excuse me.
There's always those exactly when it comes to like time travel and future people trying to prevent something, and it's like there's something that they don't. There's like another piece that they don't know to what it is that they're trying to do.
Was there anything that you guys might have saw that could have indicated that she's playing Farouk?
Ooh.
I don't know, that just popped in my head because she's a crafty one. She's very, I feel like she's very...
future Sid.
Future Sid
Maybe.
wants to play her cards right with everyone because she doesn't tell David, which is interesting, and she's telling Farouk one thing and telling, so it's just, I feel like she has maybe her own game plan, and who knows, future Sid could maybe ultimately be the villain herself.
Well, she has a line.
Ooh, that would be a good twist.
Well, doesn't she have the thing too of like, wait, her telling David, hold on, come back to it.
It gets confusing, right?
I'm like, wait, no, I had it and then I lost it. Yeah, for him to, never mind, come back to it.
All right, I'll come back to you in a second. But hey, guys, if you guys are watching this, it's great. We're happy. You guys can always be in the live chat, throw things in the comments. You guys can always download us on iTunes. Please give us 5 stars because the rest don't work. And if you do, please feel free to chime in, and I will definitely give you. We will definitely give you a shout out. So if you can't watch us live, if you're driving somewhere, you're on the public transportation, download and listen to us on iTunes for free.
I think the moment is when Sid tells Farouk, "Oh, well, in my future, you lose." That's when I kind of was like, oh, maybe she is playing him there. Because it really was like, well, you might, but in my future. Like, it really was holding that knowledge over him. That's when he kind of hit the brakes and was like, what? Huh? Tell me more.
There's something telling about her body language, because Farouk sits in that chair, the throne, and then she kind of takes it from him. Like, after he gets up, she sits in it. Even though she kind of seems meek or timid at times, like, I feel like there's something going on in her head where she's in control all the time.
So she might be the ultimate puppet master, not Farouk. Even though that David and Farouk have the greatest powers, she may be the actual puppet master.
Could be. That'd be a fun reveal.
Yeah, that's what Ashley's going with. I like it.
I'm going with it, guys.
Yeah. I mean, so then we see that. Let's get to because I don't think we ever really saw Lenny and Sid talk together.
They did through the bars.
No. I mean, like in previous episodes.
Lenny.
Yeah, like Lenny had talked to Clark. She had talked to
not so
David,
much.
but this is the first time that she's meeting up with Sid, and I like how Lenny's like trying to kind of understand this new body. And I still don't 100% know if it's 100% Lenny that's there,
She's like, Amy, Lenny,
yeah,
Amy,
there's weird
Lenny,
flashbacks,
so
and they have this whole conversation, and she's like, and Sid's basically telling her, like, you're just noise. You're just noise, just like music. You're just noise. You're not one or the other. You're just noise, or like kind of a distraction, and like the whole very Lenny-esque of, we got to be, I like how she said bros before hoes, but as my girlfriends like to say, chicks before dicks.
Well, then she goes girl power right after, so sure.
So it was like an interesting kind of just like a little banter between like the two of them, and
this, I'm really like throwing out some wild cards here, but going back to Future Sid kind of being the puppet master, she didn't warn David about Amy and Lenny's situation, Amy dying and Lenny turning into Amy. So this could also be part of her puppet mastery. Maybe she's using this version of Lenny. I don't know. Maybe that's actually her tool, not Farouk's.
Yeah, and we're still
implying.
kind of Lenny's like there. Everybody knows that like you're here, but we don't.
You? Like, what are you?
Yeah, but what are your motives now that you're back?
Yeah.
And yeah, Lenny's like talking about how like, well, I was raped, I was kept in this little basement thing. So like, but everybody's just still trying to figure out, but like, why are you back?
Yeah.
Like Lenny's kind of saying that I'm kind of with Farouk, but I'm really, really, really not. And so everybody's suspicious of just.
Yeah. And I don't think she's totally lying, but I didn't think Farouk was so much of the pleasures of the flesh that I was like, what? He what? Like, it just seemed kind of weird when she claimed that, she's like, yeah, you raped me, and not believing the speaker or victim of it. But it just felt like, you're not a trustworthy character most of the time. And it just felt almost out of character for Farouk. But if it was more like mental control over her, that I could see.
Right.
Sure.
It's a weird, you're right. In the context, I mean, I don't even like saying this saying that word on air, but like, in the context of that word, we see it one way, but the way that I think that she's using it,
more mental state.
Yeah, it's a mental, like, I was emotionally trapped against my will type, using that phrase as opposed to like a physical, sexual, because it's still about dominance, right? Yeah, it's still about like some version of a dominance and not being able to get away or be free. So right, I looked at it as more of like an emotional, mental type situation for Lenny. Yeah. Lenny with the blue Lenny with the blue eyes. I mean, but like let's finally get to like the nitty gritty of this episode.
The oily, dirty bit.
The chicken embryo black ooze monster. I mean,
that hallway though with all the eggs. Where she made a good point. She's like, is that all like actual eggshells.
Like, who did that?
I was wondering for their art department. I'm like, man, they must have so much fun on this show. We need a hallway full of eggshells.
On
Okay.
it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Be
David,
right back.
Yeah, David's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool too because we're starting to see that Patanomy never really. This is what I think I predict, or like I said a couple episodes ago, I think, was that he never really freed himself of the
Autonomy?
yeah,
No.
of like the chicken embryo, and so it starts all over again, and then you're right, and then he's like taking, he's like, yeah, the thing hatches again, or it's growing, and then he takes new eggs to try to rehatch them into everybody after they were freed from, but after David freed them from a couple episodes ago.
I was hoping Patanomy could like notice what's going on and not be as affected, but it's like, nope, you got the worst of it. He also had it the longest.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe that's why. Because I was hoping like his brain, he'd be able to step outside of himself in a way and be like, and wonder, hey, wait, I'm not thinking straight. I'm not doing this. Because he seems so self-aware.
Like
yeah.
something's been off about him too.
But guess not.
I took them as little delusional eggs, or like, you know.
Yeah, we find out finally, like,
Yeah.
or at least, yeah, right, like they're the egg and the chicken embryo. I wish they would just give the chicken embryo thing an actual
A
name,
name.
but it's delusion. Sorry, it's delusion, but
It's insanity though too, yeah.
Oh,
Because he's
yeah.
holding
well,
them. and
later
says it's
on,
insanity.
yeah.
Okay.
But the egg is
Oh, yes, yes,
egg
yes.
is delusion,
Right, right.
And then once it hatches, and starts to grow,
Yeah.
it turns into insanity.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fight scene was kind of cool. Like, you know, like, I mean, I like how it kind of turns into like the
Oh.
whole Star Wars like stormtroopers where Han Solo's like running, and then all of a sudden like they just keep because like initially we only thought that, at least I only thought that there was 3 Vermilion.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone was asking if we're going to talk about that, and they're
Oh, yes.
voguing in the hallway, essentially. It was super funny of, like, turn around, look, turn around. And then it also made me think of Don't Blink in Doctor Who, too, the Weeping Angels. Of, like,
But it also ties
don't
back
blink.
into like their dance thing
Yeah.
with this show, and I'm so glad that they
Little bit.
gave like a little like hint to it, because I kind of missed the dance sequences.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought Farouk was going to dance, actually, at one point.
Did you?
When the music was going.
Oh,
I
and
hope so.
He
earlier,
stepped around a thing kind of interestingly, and I'm like, oh, is he going to start dancing? But
and he talked about he talked about Frankie Goes to Hollywood. So,
Yeah.
but they
So-
didn't play Relax.
okay, so are there actually multiple of them, or was that their delusion? That's what I was wondering.
Of the Vermilion?
Yes.
Well, they kept saying regenerate, so I'm thinking that that's a really good question.
yeah.
Because I feel like there's 3, but in their delusional minds,
Well,
they were
just
seeing
one
multiple.
person saw them in the hallway like that. No,
2. It was
Carrie.
Carrie and Clark.
Clark, thank you.
It was
Yeah.
Clark, right?
So those 2 are looking at it, and maybe both.
Because they
Maybe
both were
it's the
infected at that
delusion,
point.
and they're seeing more. Oh, and Patonomy's with them, right? Is he with them at that point?
I think-
We
Yeah,
just
well,
watched it.
Patonomy's because Patonomy's the one with the gun. He's shooting them.
Yes, yes.
And then
Thank you.
female Carrie is doing
That's
the
the
whole
hatchet, yes.
yeah, she's doing like a scene from, to me, like, I would almost need to like go back and watch it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a great scene in Old Boy. There's a Korean movie called Old Boy, and then there's a remake that wasn't as good, but the guy has, I think, like, yeah, pretty much like a hammer,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going through a hallway fighting a bunch of different dudes, and I kind of like looked at this sequence as kind of
Mm-hmm.
a mimic of that, where she's got like the hatchet, and then she's going through all the different Vermilion. So
I
but that's
think
a
there's-
really that's a really good question though.
Let's say there's more than the 3, but maybe not as many as they actually saw. What do you all think? Leave comments down below. Are there only 3 of them? Was it in a delusion, or are there a few of them, like, a lot too?
I feel like it was the delusion.
Comment down
Because
below.
there were a couple of things like they're saying like regenerate, and then the funniest thing that the greatest thing I liked about this was the whole 68% chance of winning,
Yeah.
and then female Carrie is like, oh, they're cocky.
Yeah.
Cocky bitches.
Yeah.
And so I'm
I
like, oh,
loved
she
it.
referred to them as she's, essentially, then too. That was a fun fight scene. I appreciated that.
Me too. I enjoyed it immensely.
I mean, but it's weird though, because but I'm still kind of also, there's a big miss to this season is Jean Smart I'm blanking on her name at the moment, top of my head, but she hasn't really been
Melanie?
Yeah, Melanie hasn't really.
That's true.
Yeah.
She's like
Very absent lately.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what were the choices? Why was it female Kari, Clark, and Sid, but not male Kari or Melanie? Which we see like
Clark
Melanie's
is hilarious looking over his shoulder.
because I mean we
that's a
see
good point.
we see through Fukuyama that Melanie's like reading a book in her room.
Yeah.
And then male Kari seems to be
in the lab.
doing this. I don't know. Maybe he was controlling Dave. Like maybe he was helping David with and David being in the chamber, and that's just the kind of part we didn't really see connected. But
That's a good point because David was in the chamber, and usually when he's in the chamber, he's with male Kari, right?
Yeah.
That's probably. I'm assuming that makes sense.
it's just. I mean, I'm just wondering at what point Melanie really either gets out of her funk, and I mean, and
I hope soon.
and that probably comes towards predictions in a little bit, but yeah. So then David comes out of the chamber. He sees like all the eggshells, and right before, and they're all hallucinating that Fukuyama is like this bad guy, and we see that we see two things. We see that he actually is just an Asian guy.
Poor neck brace.
Yeah, with a neck brace, or I don't know if it was it just to keep his
Basket on.
basket on, because otherwise
Both.
the basket would be like.
Maybe both, because he didn't take it off when he went to lay down in bed.
Yeah.
So if he was sleeping, I think you would take that off because he took off the basket and then laid down with the whole neck brace on. So I'm
gotcha.
thinking it is needed. And then where's the basket maybe to cover that? Because I almost thought that's like you'd be shy or embarrassed that you have like a back brace essentially or something like that. And so where's the basket to hide it?
I mean, but the great
Maybe.
but the great thing is that we finally at least see what his real
Yes.
face looks like, but like they're all still kind of hallucinating with insanity. So then we see a bigger version of the chicken embryo monster, or whatever.
Before that though,
ooze.
David pulling them out the foreheads. So good though. I was so glad he was able to do it that way because wondering like how do you get it out, and that was just so neat to be able to see it and pull it, and then he's just holding them and stomps on them.
So then we see the whole like weird alien
Giant one.
thing, pop out of Patanomy.
Poor Patanomy.
Do we think that? I mean,
That was an aggressive scene.
Yeah.
I mean, like
His whole
stuff coming out of
spine.
his mouth.
Ugh.
Like that was a pretty messed up scene.
Mm-hmm.
well, at that point, did you think that he was dead?
Dead? No. I thought, well, then they said like we can save his mind, and I was curious what that means exactly.
And we'll jump to it in a second.
Yeah.
But then I like the whole thing where David chases down the big chicken embryo and like then goes like
Scolds
into.
Brings him into one of the planes. Like
I mean, it's cool that it was like a red room. So like, I don't know if it was like if he went into the chicken embryos ooze things like astral plane, or if he just took it somewhere in this
I wonder
random.
if insanity or delusion has any ties with the color red. I don't quite know what the background of the color red is, but
A bull seeing red going crazy.
yeah,
So,
something like
sure.
that.
I just like that optical illusion of it over there in giant, and then when it comes to his foot, and it's like itty bitty.
And
Well, I like the bull seeing red because it
Yeah.
does charge him, but then he turns little bitty.
And it's like, ha! Yeah, I got you.
yeah, and
and
there's
then-
and he's having fun there too, where he's just
jar.
like this is not the right time for you to be like doing this.
Can you just be on your way?
Yeah.
I love. It's kind of funny that there was so much build up to this greasy chicken, and then all of a sudden he's just like, "You're in a jar. I got
And
you."
blows up in the jar. But
He
he
blows
doesn't
up.
pull it out of female Kari, and she had it too, unless it died later because it's not connected to something anymore. Because you see him pull it out of a couple people, but
You see-
not
right,
female Kari in the hallway.
Right. Or it could be like that whole, what do they call it?
What could be chain reaction if like one dies, the other?
Yeah, I
The-
forget,
the
there's a
major
word.
one, yeah.
There's a word for like that connection, right? You kill the one thing, and then like the rest of them all crap out. But then then we see Patanomy,
Yeah.
like they say that his mind is alive. So then they carry him to that weird pictured forest, and then
Yeah,
he's got the
the
roots
mainframe. They're gonna
Yeah, the
plug him into
mainframe, and then we see like this crazy. I don't know. Is it the Oracle? I mean, from like the
a
Matrix.
couple people are commenting on her. Also, some people felt she was kind of like older woman in Deadpool as well. They mentioned them Oracle and Matrix. I don't know. She's very peculiar because she was like Fukuyama. Like that seems like his bed where he's going to sleep. So it's like, who's this person hanging out by his bedside? Patanomy, it was more like arrest. You're like, why a resting space? But it wasn't personally his, so it felt weird to have her in there too. Or it's a different dynamic because Fukuyama is like, why is she there all the time if this is your room? But then also her shushing was like,
Or the only
tell me more.
the only other thing I could take from that is maybe it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You know, the Wizard of Oz is like, it's like that old feeble man behind the curtain. So for her, yeah, she's in this mainframe like knitting, and she's this old woman. But meanwhile, there's a whole front before there's like Fukuyama in a basket, and then you get the vermilion with the weird voices. So it's like a big like presentation of like it's like some mysterious power, but it's just this old lady knitting.
She's the mainframe, and she's Fukuyama, and she's the vermilion. Interesting.
So, you know, just like with the Wizard of Oz. So like that's kind of like my thoughts on the old woman for now.
Yeah.
For now, that makes sense. Definitely.
Carrie, who do we have in our chat that we can give us some shouts out to really quick?
We've had...
Because I know it's late, guys. Sorry.
Thank you for tuning in
That too.
late. Yeah, we got Renji. Renji's on a lot of stuff. We got Seb Russ, Broke Black Man 94.
we love that name.
Xavier Jones.
Yep, Xavier, always know you.
Xavier
Thank you.
comes out for a lot. A couple. See if we have. Those are some of our ones who've been saying quite a few fun theories as well and pointing out stuff.
Yeah, thanks for watching. And time for predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Kari Lane, what do you think?
I think somehow David's gonna find out that he's the cause of the problem later and maybe try to do something about it because he seems like a good person that he would want to know. Like he'd be like, dude, why didn't you tell me sooner? I think future Sid is really Sid, but obviously gone through different circumstances, and maybe at some point David will feel he can't trust her anymore because she's working with Farouk. I don't know if he'll figure that out though. I feel Patonomy's going to be okay, but maybe his body might not be, and then he'll be some other kind of entity that's like around and not necessarily in a physical form, which might be good too. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Ashley?
I feel like present Sid is going to find out about future Sid and David's makeout sesh and
Or something more. Yeah, that's good.
Yes, and I think that's going to cause a huge rift in their relationship.
Again.
And maybe, maybe we'll see something where she starts to break away and become the future Sid who is more about herself than helping David. And maybe we'll start to see her veer off onto a whole new chapter or into future Sid. I don't know. I'm not quite sure who the old woman is knitting. But I'm sure we'll find out.
Maybe she has powers?
Maybe she has powers?
Yeah.
True.
She could.
We'll see.
I mean, we've got 8, 9, 10. We've got 4 episodes left. And
you said there was that last episode too.
Well,
that,
it was supposed to be 10 episodes.
that was
so
already
It's 11.
filmed, and then they added it.
What
So,
happened
right?
was that they had so
Extra footage,
much.
yes,
they had so
yes.
much footage. They decided like we'll just make an extra episode, which we definitely know from like watching this. There's a lot of repeats of like that whole David episode, like the one we didn't get to talk about last week, or at least Carrie and I didn't get to talk about last week. I mean, that's a lot of repeat of different scenarios. But my
Oh
prediction,
yeah, the multi-universe theory.
yeah. So like my prediction is that I want to see how the team reacts to Patonomy's death. Now that because this is kind of
We haven't really lost. Well, no, we've
his
lost.
possible death.
Yeah, and we haven't lost our major characters. There have been some side people, but not major characters. No.
And
he's
how
gonna-
will they communicate with him?
Yeah.
Because he's there.
Yeah, I want to see that because he's also kind of the other than female Carrie. He's also the other enforcer with the gun.
Yes.
And he has his unique power.
It's a good power that we haven't seen enough of.
Right. So how? Right. So like, how does that dynamic change? Like that's kind of like what I I'm interested in seeing. And then also, it's like, as we talked about before with predictions, is where is Melanie? When is she coming back to the team?
I want her to do more.
Yeah.
Because it's someone, she seems like she's so cool. So it's like, wait, come on. Can we get more out of that?
Or I don't know. I mean, or I'm thinking maybe in the next couple episodes, maybe we'll see a big Melanie, Jermaine Clement. Spacing Jermaine Clement's name like at the moment, but
Oliver?
like
Oliver.
yeah, maybe we'll see like just like we've seen with these David episodes and these other like we'll see like a big Oliver Melanie episode.
Ooh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and that's where like I was like, hey guys, this is where they've been, or this is what's going on, or if you've missed them, then this is the episode for you to watch.
I would love to see that.
But I think that's it. So, Kari, where can everybody find you?
Yes, you guys can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And thank you for joining us in the live chat. We know it's kind of late. If you're watching it later, no problem. Please comment down below your thoughts on the episode.
Ashley.
You guys can find me on social at Ashley_Brinkman. Thanks, guys, and thanks for being in the chat.
Hey guys, and I'm Rick Hong. You can find me on all social media at Rick Hong. I still say that I'm better looking than Amy Cassandra Martinez. But I'll tell you what, stay tuned for next week because we will have a special guest here that can answer some behind the scenes questions. Until next week, same time, same place. Thanks for tuning in. We are the Legion After Show.
See ya!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.